welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to work on a couple of quick and simple layouts. This one with just a little swing journaling card, and the next one is a large photo masked into a 3x4 page protector. I'm just starting with my photos, and I have a few journaling cards picked out there that I put to the side. Not exactly sure which ones I'm going to use yet. I'm just cutting up these 3x4s. Now, normally I leave a white border around my photos, but this time I printed them as 3x4. So you're just going to see me recut a little bit. I'm just sizing them to 2.75 by 3.75. That'll leave a nice border. So because I didn't do it in Photoshop, you're going to see me add these to a white piece of cardstock to get that border. You don't have to leave a border, it's personal preference. I just prefer a little white space. I I feel like it leaves a little just calms the eye, calms the layout down a bit, makes the photos stand out. So here I am just grabbing my cardstock. I'm gonna trim that down. So this will be the 3x4 size to get that white border. Now sometimes page protectors, um, there's usually a pocket or two in them that are just a wee bit smaller than the 3x4 size. So I usually double check to make sure it's going to fit before I commit to the white borders, just in case I have to size the photo down a little more. So here I am just going through the journaling cards that I had pulled out, decided on these ones. That top right one is actually, the wreath is just printed on glossy photo paper. I just had it in with my 3x4 journaling cards. So I liked that up there to hold my number. This is a journaling card from a, not sure, from a kit, a previous kit. But this is how they came. They have that hexagon shape and a brad. So I'm just writing, I traced around that hexagon first in pencil. You'll see me erasing it here now, just so I would know where I could write to. Added my journaling on, and I slip the actual 3x4 into the pocket, make a little hole. You'll see me fussying with this. My hands were really sore that day. And then just gonna take a little tool and put the prongs down and push it down. Be careful if you do that. You have to make sure that you're not pushing that prong through the page protector on the other side. Here I'm just going through my numbers. I decide on that larger number. I really liked it on there. And then thought I'd like a bow at the top in red. So I'm just going through my twines, chose one of those. You'll see me fussying, tying a bow, because again, sore hands, but eventually I got it. And I'm just going to adhere it down on the top like that and put the number on the bottom. So to adhere the bow, I'm going to use Zots. You'll see that here in a sec. Oh, and I added a photo or a word strip on the bottom. So here I am just going through the different colors and seeing which one, and that red really matched that twine, so I chose that. There weren't a lot of ones that made sense on this layout, um, but I really liked that color, so I ended up using that one. It just says, "To show you I love you," which I guess works since this is gifts for my husband and my son that are in those boxes, so it worked. So I went with it. Don't want to spend too much time fiddling with the smaller details. So here I am, I'm just going to cut the little tails so that they fit nicely in the wreath, add the little number. I'm going to bring out those zots, which are glue dots, and then I'm just going to put the bow onto the dot. That'll bring it off the release paper, and then I'm just going to use my little tool to put them up into that knot so you don't see the adhesive from the front. And then I'm just gonna adhere that down, pushing it down so that it makes a good connection. I'm just going to trim up my photo so it's to size. There we go. Add some holes. Oh, I forgot. I added chipboard. So I'm just going through my chipboard, trying to decide which one. I did like that joyful one. That's the one I end up going with. I liked the shape of it. The sentiment's not necessarily, again, what I would have chosen, but I really like that sentiment. So it just says a very merry, joyful morning is what it says, but this so you'll see I took the backing off of the chipboard. I'm trying not to go into two albums, so I'm trying to reduce as much bulk in my album as I can. That bow is already fairly bulky, so I probably didn't have to take the backing off that chipboard because there would be space on this layout anyway with that bow, but all I do is pull off the cardboard backing and you're just left with the white at the back, and then I'm just punching my holes, lining it up with the page before that I'd already punched. Do that, and then I'll adhere my chipboard with just a little Nuvo glue. And there we go. That one's completed. Let's just stick that one in the album and we'll move on to the next one. We're back at the desk. So in order to get that picture, like like this into the page protectors, I made a template in Photoshop Elements. So I just made four 3x4 rectangles and measured how much space on a existing layout, how much space was in between each photo, and kind of marked that out with guidelines on my template in Photoshop Elements, and then masked my photos in that and printed it out the way it was. And you'll see I only have to trim off just a little tiny bit on the edges of on the outside edges of the photos to make them fit into the page protector. And it just looks like you have a full photo. Now, if you're doing this with a photo that has faces and things like that, you may have to manipulate your photo um, a lot to make it so that you're not cutting off faces and things. But all you do is bring in your photo on top of all the 3x4 layers, and then you mask it you'll duplicate your photo 4 times, and then you'll mask it into each box, and then that will make your full photo. And you just saw me going through my chipboard, trying to figure out which one I'd like to use. My intention was I wanted to hang that chipboard heart off of something. So I ended up using that chipboard star, just placing my photos. And like I said, they were just a hair too big to go into the back of this pocket because I already have the other side filled. Um, they get a bit tight. So I'm just trimming, like I said, off the outer edge so that the middle parts of the photo stay the same and are still lined up. I'm usually fairly mindful of that when I'm working in Photoshop that I may have to trim. So I make sure to leave just a little bit of extra space in case I do. There's the photo in the page protector, and now I'm just gonna hang this off of here. So I left the first chipboard as is, and but I took the backing off of the heart so that it would fit into my hole punch. So I'm just using the second hole. Yeah, I use the second hole just to make a hole at the top corner, and then I'm just going to go through my twine. And turns out the first one I picked out, that's just an embroidery floss. It matches that tree on the wrapping paper really well, so I decided to go with it. So here I'm just looping it through that hole and through the star. I start at the top, leave a little tail, go through to the bottom, back up again twice, and then I'm going to take my back twine and I'm going to wrap it around the heart and go back into the hole. And then I'm going to do that again on the other side. And you'll end up with a tail on the front and a tail on the back. And then I can just bring them to the front or both to the front and tie them together. And that will secure the heart on there nicely so it won't slip around. And it makes enough um, threads or floss in the middle that it's not gonna slip. So I'm just filling with that a little bit. I've already tied my knot, I think. Oh no, here I am tying the knot now. Just making sure it was hanging down as far as I want, and I just leave a little bit of a tail after I knot it, and that part's done. Now I'm just going through and choosing a number. I wanted to use gold, but they're just a little bit too big. You'll see I took the 0 and put it beside the 1 up on the transparent part, and then you'll be able to see where your numbers and what they're going to look like. So I did that. I ended up pulling out these ones. They're from this year's kit. Those little black puffy numbers. They're super small. I love that. Love that they fit perfectly inside this star. Here I'm just going around the star with red line tape. It's an eighth of an inch. I'm just cutting as I go. This red line tape is great for chipboard and things. It adheres really well. It's a bit fiddly sometimes, but it works well enough. Sometimes I will put glue on the back as well, just so I have a little bit of leeway with moving where I'm putting my embellishments. So you're going to see me pulling up the backing tape, but this stuff is really staticky and it sticks to everything. So you're going to see me grab a piece of washi tape. This is like I cut vinyl quite often. This is kind of a vinyl trick. I usually use a lint roller. Um, but all you do is pull up your backing and then you can just stick it. It'll just stick to the washi tape and then you don't have it all over the place. I'm just pulling all those up. I'm going to adhere my star. Now with this tape, you can pull it up a little bit for a while, but it does stick really, really well. So you have to be pretty quick with it. So I've got that placed. I chose not to do anything to the back of the heart. I'm gonna leave it for now. It's not really meant to lift up, so I think it'll be fine. And then you're just gonna see me put my number on here. Just bringing that tool out again and just to push my numbers over just a wee little bit. And then that one is done. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you in the next one.